Following an injury that kept him out of the England basketball team, this week's guest on the Escape Your Limits podcast faced his own weight loss journey before building a business from his newfound passion and teaching the nation how to change their body for better. Whether in front of a camera or facing a class of clients, he spent years inspiring people to simply keep moving. His on-demand Sky TV series, Fit in 5, highlights the importance of functional fitness in a manageable time frame that can be expanded on depending on their ability. Embracing the effort of turning your life around, please welcome personal trainer, TV presenter, and much more, Marvin Ambrosius to the Escape Your Limits podcast. Welcome.
What an amazing intro. I felt very important just then.
And when I was sort of reading up on you over the weekend, and I didn't know this before I met you, but I saw this music stuff coming up. So you kind of had a music, or you've got some sort of music career as well?
Yeah, I had a very long-standing music career which started when I was about 20.
Right.
And during that time, funny enough, when I had my injury through basketball, that's where music started.
Really?
But that's where also the weight piled on.
Really?
So that's where I started to put weight on, because you're spending all these hours in a studio, not doing, pretty much sedentary is an understatement.
Really?
It was eating, writing, eating, writing. Unfortunately for me, that ended up being about 4 to 5 stone in weight gain in the space of a year. But yeah, with music, that was a huge passion of mine, still is. I love music, so when I think exercising to music really worked for me, because I had an understanding of BPM, what movements you should do, how it would work, and yeah, it's something great. I love it.
Yeah, and I guess now, if you look at what's kind of the way the fitness industry is going, as you said, you know, like an instructor being able to get their music right and the timing right, depending on what they're doing, is almost like an essential skill of a good trainer, I guess, nowadays, isn't it?
Yeah, no, definitely. It's funny, if I've got like a squat section, I have to make sure that it's basically 2 down, 2 up, 2 down, 2 up. So I always make sure that it's a rhythm that can be kept, but something that's also going to give you a good muscular balance, because with endurance, if you go too quickly, it just turns into cardio. So I'll make sure a certain track is at a certain BPM, just to make sure that we're just working at a good pace, enough to get a good pain. And that's why those 5 minutes, it always works.
Yeah, and did you write and sing and do the whole?
Yep, everything. Everything. With the writing, not with the production side of it, I always was more somebody who could listen to music and pen a song quite quickly. So within doing that, I just started to write, and then I got my first publishing deal when I was 21 with ZTT Publishing. That was amazing. I had my first placement, which was with Angie Stone. As a song, so that was the first placement I had. And over the years I kept on writing, but you're always waiting for that number one, always waiting for it. It never came until 2008, which was like years later, for a group called Tashinki in Japan, of all places. And then I wrote Alicia Dixon's song on her album, which is the title track, called The Alicia Show. And then I kind of found my own voice at this point, and I kind of didn't like waiting for people. So I decided to just sing myself and started releasing my own songs. And then I joined a band called Muddy Loop. And we still release music now, but funny enough, I use a lot of my music in my actual classes.
Really?
Yeah, I do it all the time. It's like a sly pop-in. So people are like, what song is that? And then I get good feedback. And then I still just like to do it, because it's kind of like a great release now as well. It's like a stress reliever. Because it's not something you want to get paid for all the time. It's something, whereas if I don't do this, I don't feel whole. So I've just incorporated that into my fitness.
Yeah, fantastic. So tell us about the young Marvin then. So what was growing up like for you?
Growing up for me was a household of a father who was obsessed with basketball and music. So it's just music, basketball. It's just those two together. And growing up, I was just basically always exposed to kind of a free thought and free thinking, to feel that whatever you do and whatever you work hard for, it will come back. And I kind of just had that. As long as I work for it, I will get it. The only problem is you don't get told. Sometimes you can work as hard as you want to. It might take longer to get what you want. And in older age, I've realized that now, that sometimes it's the long game. So it's the marathon, not the sprint. And being a kid, I'd always put a lot of effort into certain things, and then started to see the returns by when I'd got to the age of around 11, 12. I was really working on my game, my basketball game with my dad, really practicing all the time, going to as many training sessions as I could. And I became like one of the top 5 players in the country, and was playing in an under 19s league at the age of 10. And at the time, I thought nothing of it. It was just, my dad just put me in that arena because he knew I was good enough. He said, you've worked hard enough, so if I'm going to put you there, that means you're good enough. So because he gave me that belief, it also gave me that self-belief to know that I can do that as well. And my mother, just as encouraging, just said, oh, you can do that. So they didn't make a big deal out of it. So for me, it wasn't a big deal. Until I look back at it now, it was kind of a big deal.
Right, right. So your parents were sort of quite strong role models for you when you got
Yeah. Definitely, and I had a very competitive sister who was just happened to be better, older, and she was better than me at basketball. And it wasn't because she was older; she was just very good. And over the years, we'd completely battle each other, do one-on-one, and she'd always beat me. And then one day, I remember the day I beat her, and it just became a thing when she gave me the nod, and it wasn't a nod, say an upset nod; it was a happy nod, and it was just like, go do your thing. But led on to many injuries, unfortunately. Sometimes in sport, you can't control the aspect of where your career is going to go. And at a young age, I had a lot of injuries. My ankles, I think I fractured my right one twice, my left one 3 times. And this was all before the age of 17. And my doctors constantly said to me, maybe sport's not for you.
And I didn't realize basketball was so, like, you got that many injuries, but obviously you did.
Yeah, it was very physical, and I played against a lot of big guys, and because I was so young and I was playing against men, because by the time I was 13, I was playing in the men's league and playing against like semi-professional athletes, and I was getting bumped around, and my body, I wasn't that strong, but I'd learned how to finesse myself through the games to play well, and I'd learned to get off the ball so people couldn't get near me. But at some point, you're going to get hit, and sometimes it would just end up being the ankle or the knee. And as I got older, I just realized that maybe this isn't what I'm supposed to do, and I kind of allowed it to affect my process.
Okay.
Yeah, so I kind of went, I've got to do something else.
And what age was that then?
That was 18.
That was 18.
I was 18. Actually 17. 17 that was, because that was when I'd been told by a doctor, maybe you need to do something else, because if your body is going to fail on you like this, what are you going to do in between when you're injured? And that's when it clicked. I went, I don't do anything else other than play basketball. That's all I do. And then my sister just said to me, well, you sing all the time and everyone thinks you're good, but you don't care about it. But why don't you just come to the studio with me? And I just started going to the studio with her and singing. And then next thing you know, it became a hobby, went back into basketball, got back to full health, and then injured again.
Right.
And at that point, it was like, you know what? I'm out. And I just kind of heart-wise, my heart just left the game just because I felt betrayed. Because like we'd spoken about earlier, and if I put the work in, it will come back to me. And I'd felt like I'd given, and it didn't give back.
So when you were sort of about to leave school, was your plan always to be in going to pro sport or something? Or
yeah.
It was, yeah.
That was the number one thing. It was just, I want to play basketball, I want to go to America, I want to be in the NBA. Right. That was just I pretty much, whatever was going on over there, it didn't matter. That was my drive. Right. But then those injuries allowed the road to get bigger. Okay. So it just got wider, and then my vision became broader in that there might be other things out there for me.
Yeah. And how did that feel then? Did you sort of have to build your dream then, as you know, that probably wasn't going to happen. You wasn't going to go into the NBA and find something else to follow. Because it sounded like you're obviously quite competitive. Yeah. How did you sort of go about, getting excited about doing something else then at the time? Was it you have someone like your father helping you, or did you just go through your own process in kind of, redeciding what your life was going to be like at that time?
I think I had to go for a reprogram, and looking back at it now, I'd realized what I was doing. I was just basically had to sit down and really rethink the process, because my process was working up until a certain point, and then I just had to say, okay, we need to make a drastic change. So I just thought, okay, why not take people around me and allow them to influence in a positive way what I can and what I can't do. So I kind of allowed other people to channel what they thought I was good at, for me to do what it could be the next thing, and it just essentially happened to be music. Because my father just said to me, why don't you just go into acting, join an agency, and I just went, okay, I'll do that. So I joined an agency, and part-time I ended up doing extra work, and I remember being in The Mummy Returns, and I've got a big close-up in there, and I remember laughing, thinking, wow, I've been doing extra work for a month, and already I'm on the big screen, this is great. And I met my wife doing actual extra work. And then from that point, it was weird because my wife doesn't know the basketball me. She'd never met the person that had got all these trophies, all these accolades. She just met the guy that was doing this TV stuff. So I hadn't put on any weight yet either. Right. So I was still the same. I was still the kind of the same guy. Still played a little bit, but not enough. Yeah. And I just thought the process. Then she then said, "You are a really good singer," and she kind of validated my singing for me. And then I just made a decision once I met her. I'm going to go into the writing side of it, and then. I penned about 10 songs, went to the studio, recorded them, got other artists to record them, and then from then I just submitted those songs and had a few publishing meetings, and then ended up finding a home, which was ZTT Publishing. Right. And then the rest kind of just kept on writing for like 7 years odd, waiting for that hit.
So what happened about you? You obviously put on a lot of weight. Was it about 5 or 6 stone from your normal weight? Was it? You got up to 18 stone? Is that
18
right?
and a half in total. Yeah.
So what was, why did that happen? Someone who was obviously very fit and athletic for most of their life. Why did you? What was going on to cause that to happen? Do you think?
Well, I've always loved food, I really love food. And when I was playing basketball, I guess it was just I didn't change my eating habits. Right. So I was burning. Now, at the time, I wasn't into calories or how many I was burning. Now, going back at it, the physicality and the hours put in, the minimum amount I was burning a day was 5,000. Right. Minimum. That was like a bare minimum. Sometimes it could be up to 8 to 10. So I was probably eating about 4,500 to 5,000. So when I'd stopped playing basketball, I think I probably started eating around 5,000 a day still. Yeah. But my body automatically just went, what is happening? There's no output, input. You're just input. You're not doing anything. So I guess my body type, as they talk about body types, endomorph, ectomorph, and mesomorph, I guess I'm an endomorph because my body just held on to everything in a very quick space of time. It was very fast. I've looked at pictures and thought, wow, how did I get from there to there so quickly? If people had weight loss that quickly, we'd have a lot of money. But that was just what happened. I just put on weight pretty much just by being sedentary. Regular eating habits stayed the same. Right.
And what was there any sort of any mental change as well into? To sort of, whilst you were going through that, because you couldn't have felt good about yourself, I guess, at that position.
I think I just got really relaxed, and I felt funny enough, I felt very comfortable, and I felt comfortable putting on weight, and I still to this day do not know why, 100%. But I think as well, with the support of my wife, she never once pointed out my weight getting bigger. Right. She just kind of allowed me to be me, and then because of that reason, I just didn't notice it until you have other people that you haven't seen for a while, and they're like, whoa, and then you've got family members that you might not have seen for 3 months, which is not a long space of time, but that wait time is huge, and they'd see me and go, whoa, and then after a while, that whoa became a alarm bell, like something's not right here. Right. And I think it was when I was going to I can't remember whose wedding it was, I had to go get a suit. I couldn't find a suit, and that was just devastating for me. I couldn't find any clothes to go to a wedding, and I had to end up ordering online, and that just didn't make sense to me. I was thinking, am I now at a size where I can't physically go into a shop and buy clothing? Wow. And I think,
what was your waist size then?
Oh, I think I was 38 waist, and that was what's really funny. Even though I got bigger, I proportioned out everywhere. Right. So it wasn't just, some people put a belly, they get a belly. Yeah. I wasn't like that. I just went like that. I just expanded in every area, which is really strange because I'm thinking at least when I was losing, I lost all at the same time, where some people would lose in one area and other. I guess my actual way my body works is if I'm going to put weight on, I'm going to put it on everywhere and lose it everywhere. And I just had to change, and I just thought to myself, do you know what? I'm not happy anymore because now I'm allowing this process of other people's expectations of me and what they know of me to affect who I am. Right. And then that made me actually quite sad. And then I started to become people asking me, do you want to go out? I was like, well, actually, no, I think I'll stay home. So I became a bit of a recluse and didn't want to go anywhere. I just was like, no, I'll stay at home. I'll go to the cinema, no one's going to see me there.
So it affected you mentally as well?
Yeah, and that's not me. My family know me. I'm quite extrovert. I'm quite I'm out there. I'm talking. I'm very talkative. I'm happy. And all of a sudden, it was just sinking ship. I was the Titanic, and literally the Titanic. And I just decided to just make that change and said, I'm going to change now.
How quick was that change? Was that something you just sort of instantly woke up and said, right, today's the day? Or did it happen over a period of time?
It was instantaneous. It wasn't, oh, I'm going to do something and then you fall off the wagon. It was straight. It was just, I need to change.
Right.
And then I did change, but with that change was a mistake. I wanted to do the fast route.
So what was your original plan then? Because did you have a fitness background or nutrition background or anything like that?
No, nothing like that at all. The only background I knew of is you play basketball, you lose weight, and you just stay healthy. And but obviously that wouldn't be it because I was eating bad when I was playing basketball, but my body didn't know any difference. So I didn't have any sports background at all other than playing the sport.
Right, okay. And so how did you get your strategy to lose your weight then?
It was like an abstinence way. I figured out like, oh, what's the quickest way to lose weight? And I just went on a liquid diet.
Right.
And for me, as somebody who loves food, what a big mistake. I'd done it, 3 months, lost 4.5 stone. And everybody would see me and go, oh my God, you've lost this weight. And what do you think happened the moment I started eating again? Right back on. Within 3-4 months again, it was like straight away. My body was just like, nope, this is not the way we're supposed to do this. And when I'd lost the weight as well, it didn't look natural. I'd lost muscle mass, I'd lost pretty much everything. I'd lost color, and I'd look back at pictures and I'm like, wow, that doesn't even look like me. Like even the big version doesn't look like me, the smaller version doesn't. So then I had to go through a whole nother process and figure out how am I going to lose weight but make it measurable and achievable? How is it going to be something that's sustainable? How is it going to be something that works for me in my lifestyle? Right. And then I realized, I was like, I've got to do it through the food and I've got to do it through exercise, but regular exercise, something that no matter what happens on a day-to-day, I can still repeat those exercises. And I just started working out 45 minutes a day and watching my carb intake in the evening, reducing that carb intake in the evening, just for protein, for healing at night, and just took some basic advice from people and friends. And then all of a sudden it was just smaller, 2 pounds loss, 3 pounds loss. And then over a 4 to 5 month period, it had all gone. Right. But then at the same time, I'd still managed to get to eat foods that I loved. Okay. So I still got to have my sweet potato. I love sweet potato. And every now and then, if I wanted a cheat meal, I could have one and it wouldn't affect me losing weight because I was doing it in longer periods of time instead of short bursts of cheat meal every day. Yeah. It was cheat meal maybe once every 3 weeks or once every 2 weeks. And it just kind of worked for my lifestyle. And that's when I'd made that decision to connect the dots and say, I want to help other people that are battling with this same struggle for them to find something that's not good for today, but good for tomorrow and the rest of their lives.
Right, right. So how did you go about doing that then? Because you've created a very interesting business now. How did you go from someone struggling with your own weight issues and to where you are today? What was that process? How did, what was the first thing you did? Write some ideas down on the paper or
It was all quite organic. I just literally was going to the gym and then I'd have the iPad in front of me just working out, and then I just started working out and people started walking in the room and asking, oh, is the room free? And I said, yeah, I'm just working out, like, yeah, feel free to come in. And next thing you know, someone's doing the workout with me. And then someone else would walk in the room and say, oh, can I join in the workout? And I'm like, well, I'm not a trainer, I'm just working out. And next thing you know, for the next couple of weeks goes by, 4 people turn into 10 turn to 15, and I've got a packed class of 20 people, but I'm not getting paid. And then a trainer that was there said to me, you should get paid for this. And then I went, maybe I should get paid for this. And I looked at the long-term aspect of it and thought, yeah, let me become an instructor. So then I thought of what was out there on the market and said, what would I like to do? I really enjoyed Insanity. I really liked the old HIIT training aspect. So I looked online and checked, can I become an Insanity instructor? And next thing you know, they released just that month, we're doing instructor courses. Won an instructor course, became an instructor, started teaching 1 class a week, which turned into 2, which turned into 3. And then I just started my own brand of class, which was called Master Your Body Weight. Right. And that was just basically a HIIT training style, but in my own aspect of how I thought it worked better, which was less grueling on your joints. Because a lot of interval training and too much of it, especially jumping a lot, it's not going to be good for people's knees. So I'd realised I've got to figure out something that's going to be workable for every single individual. And that's how Fit in 5 basically came about. Right. I'd realised that if you can have short burst exercise workouts, and it's been proven obviously through every university like that, if you have short burst workouts, your heart rate obviously will stay up for a long period of time for you to then have burning fat. Right. And in your body. And I just thought, if I can get that for people that are busy and have very busy lifestyles, if I nail that and get it right, then I'm onto something. So one of the guys that actually came into my classroom happened to be an app developer. He's now my business partner. And he'd said, do you know what, you should ever think about doing your things on an app. And I said, actually, I've got an idea. And that's how, at that moment, having that conversation, I came up with Fit in 5.
Right.
And it was just in the conversation. It wasn't something that I'd written down. I'd said, you know what, I've got an idea for an app. It would be called 5-minute workouts, short burst workouts. People can connect them and do them all together. And whatever time they've got, they can add the workout. And I just said that out to him. And I didn't, anybody could have been listening. I just said it and he thought, well, let's do it. Met up a week later. He had a camera. We signed some documents together, registered our company. It was very quick. Filmed the workouts, put about 9 workouts on the system. He uploaded everything, coded everything, and then it's live. And then I'm telling everybody about our app. And everybody at work's looking at me like, you've got an app. And I didn't see it as a big deal. I was just kind of like going with the flow. And a guy, really cool guy, Team GB coach, Tony Lester, he'd said he was eavesdropping on a conversation I was having with someone about having an app and what was on there. And he just clearly said to me, you should think about having this as a TV show. Have you spoken to anybody? And I thought, well, I was going to get 100,000 users first, and then I was going to speak to someone, because I know it's all in the numbers. Everybody loves numbers. So I thought, let me wait. But he'd introduced me to a few people there, and I had about maybe 6 or 7 meetings, filmed a pilot, and the pilot was great. I thought the pilot was good enough to go on TV. That's how it felt compared to what I was doing. They didn't think so. They thought that there was something missing. And I pitched it without telling anybody to another department within Sky, which was Sky One. Okay. And a guy called Marvin Benoit, who happens to be cousins with my wife. He said, what are you currently up to? And I said, well, actually, I'm up to this. Gave it to him. And his boss had said that morning, we need fitness content. So the timing, everything was there. And next thing you know, I've got a show. And I'm planning a show, meeting with producers, and it's all happening. And I'm like, wow, this is actually happening. And within the space of a year of having the app, we've got a TV show that we're about to film. And they then announced who the guests are going to be on the show. We're going to have 2 celebrity guests, which was Kirsty Gallagher and Melanie Sykes. Right. And I'm sitting there thinking, is this really happening? Like, because my process, like I said, I work hard for something, but I felt like I hadn't worked hard enough in that field to get where I was going. I didn't feel like I'd got there yet. So I was still very hungry. So I was always challenging, like, can we do something more? Can we do this? And on the day of filming, we got on set, and I remember walking on set. I've still got the camera footage online of the first time I walked on the set. And everybody's there, and they're looking at me, and I'm like, yeah, this is going to be great. And it dawned on me, I think, is this going to be this packed? Because there was about maybe 50 people. And then the producer told me, by the way, Marv, they've all just realized at this moment that you have got your own TV show out of nowhere. So you're going to be the guy that's going to be hosting the show. So they just want to see if you can do it. So no one actually tested me, really, because I'm going to be talking, I'm going to be on a teleprompter. And I said, okay, fine, let's do it. So they had a teleprompter there, started talking, just happy, joyful. Everyone left. And we just carried on, and the rest is history.
It worked.
It worked. And then we did...
So just on that, so what do you think kind of, because every trainer, well, not every trainer, but I'm sure a lot of trainers would love to have their own app and their TV program. What do you think were some of the sort of ingredients, apart from, timing obviously went in your favor, but in general, what are some of the things that you think kind of made that interesting to when you pitched for the TV and to make the app as successful as what it was? If you had to kind of identify some of those key things.
I definitely would say overthinking is what messes people up, and prep and saying you need to have this, this, and this before you can move on to that stage. Really? I didn't have that thought process. I was just having fun. I was in the moment, and I was thinking about what I was doing at the time with the fitness, how I was going to work it. So I didn't have a process other than, oh, that sounds good. Why don't we do this? Why don't we do that? And I just kept on doing, rather than thinking about it. I'd done it.
What do you mean, like sort of trying to be too perfect before you release anything?
It's like I need to have this, I need to make sure this is how I pitch it, I need to make it, I didn't care. I just went in the room, had a clear indication of exactly how I wanted it to be. And when I was selling it, because I came from sales, because the whole part of the story, which I haven't even told you, is that I was in Sky whilst I was actually working in sales, because in music went quiet. So I started working for Sky's sales team for 7 years and I still had my weight on me.
Right.
So during that time when
what
I
were you
lost weight,
selling for them?
Sky packages, online,
Oh, really?
yeah, online. It was basically all the online packages they had, and then I started dealing with the back office online team. So I stopped selling, but at that time, that's when my fitness journey really began. But I was still doing music because I was on a shift, so I could do both. But then fitness just kind of came into it. But that thought process of I was juggling so many pies, but I think because I was like, oh, here's another pie, there's nothing wrong with trying that, because if that failed, I've got that over there. Yeah. So I think my process was, I can't fail because I'm trying. Yeah. And my whole aspect of life is, if you're only a failure if you don't try. Right. So I just said, let me just see how this works. And then next thing you know, there we are. We're here now.
Yeah. And the 5 minute part then, what was I guess some people would argue, well, can you really get fit in 5 minutes? Where did that come from? Was that just your own thought? Was there some research you'd seen? How did you go about sort of that, that particular component of it?
Funny enough, I didn't do any research to start with, and the research started after I'd done the workouts, because I formulated the workouts and started writing them down and figuring, what's this going to do to my body? How's this going to work? Does this play into cardio? Where does this go? Is this muscular endurance? Is it power? Is it speed? Is it agility? So I started just writing down exercises and pairing them all together. So I started doing them myself and working them out. And clearly, straight away, I'd realized I am exhausted. I was exhausted. After 5 minutes doing it at my pace, which became a very intense pace, I couldn't believe how tired I was. I was like, this is just a 5 minute period. So if I'm at a stage now where my fitness is at its peak, what would I have felt like when I was at my when I was at my biggest? If I was asked to do that 5 minute workout, how would that have made me feel? And then I'd realized straight away, this would have improved my cardiovascular, this would improve my power, it would improve my speed, and ultimately it would have improved my weight loss because I was doing interval training. And then that paired with a good diet, I was like, this could work. So it was kind of the proof in it was the research in actually doing it myself, and then doing it in classes and seeing how it worked for other people. And automatically other people were getting results. Right. And I thought the best kind of results you can get are the ones that you're seeing in front of you. Yeah. And I just kept on following up on that and just kept on writing new designs and how it could work.
Right. Did you have an idea of the type of person that you were going after? So were you going after the people that were just overweight and struggling to lose it, or people that wanted to just maintain it? What did that not even come into your mind?
Basically, the first thing that came into my mind was me and how I felt and what I would have needed at the beginning part when I had that switch. Because we spoke about when was my deciding moment. That deciding moment, if I would have then seen me on the television and said, here's 5 minute workouts, I would have jumped on that. I would have been, yep, I need something fast, I need something quick, something that's going to get me from A to B, but that's sustainable. So I then realized that that's what I need to do. And in seeing that, I think the market I was going for was people that don't find the time to work out because their lifestyles are too busy, whether that be children, whether that just be financial, they can't afford to go to a gym, or they just don't have the knowledge and the know-how of how to actually physically do exercise. Yeah. So I went for that person first, and then the next aspect of it was going for the athlete and saying to the athletes, by the way, if you do one after the other, you're going to get even fitter because you're giving yourself like the tiniest break after a whole 5 minute period. Doing 2 of those workouts together, you were going to be exhausted, and it's going to improve your fitness aspect in everything that you're doing, even for a professional athlete. Right. Like I've got professional athletes that use it now, like Luol Deng, who plays for Los Angeles Lakers, he uses it now. Right. He does the ab workouts all the time because he wants to work core, but he does it twice. Right. And he says during the time it kills him. And to hear that from a professional athlete, you're just like, wow, it actually, the way I felt or I wanted it to work, it does work. Yeah.
And what do you think of people who are very deconditioned? Is it something, do you find that it could be too difficult for people to get involved in and stay with? Because I guess that's the key thing, like sort of not wanting to frighten people off too soon so they just don't do it. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, what I'd noticed with a lot of fitness routines and other programs is that if you've got a workout that's 45 minutes to an hour and you have to do that every single day, your life, something's going to happen and you're not going to be able to perform that hour because it's not an hour. Like for a woman, I added it up. 45 minute workout is not 45 minutes, it's 2 hours. Because you've got to prep to get ready to do the workout, then they've got to do the workout, then they've got to get washed, then they've got to get dressed, and they've got to get ready. And then if they've got kids, that's another half an hour. So you've got a 2.5 hour period. With a man, it's going to be an hour and 45 minutes. And that's just due to how much time you need to get ready to go. So I figured that if they've only got, I've only got a 30-minute window, I've got a 25-minute window, or 20-minute, or only 15 minutes, they're just not going to do a workout at all. Right. So I'd figured that what I need to do is bridge the gap between the time period to say, you've only got 5 minutes today. If you did 5 minutes a day, an average workout works out 67 calories every 5-minute workout. So if you did 67 every single day, you've essentially still burnt over nearly 450 to 500 calories. Right. So I figured it's better to burn that than nothing at all. Yeah. And that's kind of how I sat in with that my thought process of how it worked. Yeah.
And do you think like getting people to take these small steps and do things that are easy and getting them in the habit is helps, like you say, I guess, I work out, I've done it for a long time, and I suppose you build things into your life, but most people, as you say, it's probably a big step. Do you think he's, kind of starting with these quick wins, making them feel comfortable? Are you seeing success over the long term with that as well?
Yeah, no, definitely. I've seen that people that started the Fit in 5 journey, they've then now taking it somewhere else. Right. Because what they've seen now is they could do a lot more than what they ever thought they were capable of. I've got a few people that have been following the show from the beginning that have lost 3 to 4 stone. Right. And then now they've left the Fit in 5 market now, right, and they've gone to the gym because now they've got the confidence to go to a gym. Yeah. And now they've started going to classes, they've now started doing their own workout programs, and they've now started building their confidence to do that a little bit more to get even further in what they want to look like, right, in a physical appearance or even just mentally or spiritually. But just to see the transference between the result versus what you're actually doing and getting you to do it. Yeah. And that's basically what it does. It's the starting point. Yeah. And to get from that starting point to have a point where you can keep it going, that's what you want, because you can't really reverse to doing nothing if you started off for 5 minutes. Yeah. So that's why it would never end.
And you mentioned kids. I saw some of your videos, and so is that an area as well that you're trying to get kids active as part of the Fit in 5?
Yeah. Most definitely. I want to make sure and ensure that children of all abilities, because as you know, there's always really talented kids at sports in school. They'll pretty much get the push straight away. And the other kids that haven't really got coordination, don't really have the confidence, don't really have a lifestyle where they can actually work out that much, I want to reach their families as well. Because if I can get their families to participate in something that they're doing, they can all do it together, and they can all get fit and healthy together as a lifestyle, not something that they have to do. Because I think once you plant in someone's brain, this is what you have to do, then automatically you've got the rebel that comes in, where people want to rebel against it. Why should I have to be like this? It's like, no, if we do this in your time and the time that you have, it's now yours. Right. So I'm making people own it rather than telling them to do it. It's like, no, this is what you do because that's the time frame you've given me, and that's the time frame you have. So you're not doing what your friend's doing, you're not doing what they're doing, you're doing what you can do. Yeah. But then ultimately, the moment someone builds a tiny bit of confidence, that result ends in them wanting to do more. Right. And kids is the first thing you can go to. I worked with kids with the Great Outdoor Gym Company the other day. We did a massive school playground workout for kids from 7 to 12. And I'm still exhausted now because kids' energy is unbelievable. And what they noticed, and I was told by the teachers, just from reacting and talking to the kids and telling them what they can do and how I was as a child and how I felt, the kids that wouldn't necessarily do the exercises, the teachers told me, they were the first people talking about it when they got home, and they were the first people that wanted to participate, right, which is something at school they wasn't doing. So if I can give that back to kids and make them build that confidence, not just the physical confidence, as you know, that's a confidence that they'll take into working, relationships, parent, that's something that will be much deeper than just an exercise routine.
Yeah, fantastic. So if you look back and sort of had to give advice to someone that wants to, they're probably coming up, trainer, and they want to sort of get involved in, like you say, go TV, do that. What were some of the pieces of advice that you would give to probably your younger self or a younger person in that position?
I would say find your lane. It's great to look at what everybody else is doing, especially on social media, because you'll see a trend of how people take a photo, the next photo is this, the next photo is that. And I'd realize it's great to make yourself relevant. I'd say to people, me and we spoke about this earlier, like I wasn't relevant on social media at all, but managed to achieve something that people on social media in the fitness market, that's all they want. They want that TV show, but I want now their social media. So I would say the best way to achieve that is just to make sure that you stay focused on what message you're trying to deliver, and what you want to do forever in that fitness game. Because if you're somebody who's then wanting to just show, I'm doing muscle ups all the time, I'm doing crazy calisthenics, and that's your market. Or people are watching you because it's the wow factor. So that's who your market is. But if you want to be someone in this business where you want to train people, you've got to start from the grassroots point to figure out who you are, how you can maintain who you are as a person, because people believe you when it's authentic. Yeah. If we're just seeing something that you're doing for the gram, as they say, you're doing it for the gram, you can kind of tell the differences between this is who you are on Instagram versus who you are in real person. Yeah. And it's really important to try and translate and keep yourself the same in both. Yeah. Because when you do meet people like what I've met you today, I'm exactly the same as when we've spoken on the phone to exactly who I am on the Instagram. Yeah. And I think that's really important, is knowing your brand, understanding it, and just understanding what you want from it. Right. If you just want money, then there's so many routes to go down if you just want money. But if you want something that's sustainable and something that you can build on, really start thinking about the grassroots of where you want to go to. Yeah, being sort of very authentic. And a few people have mentioned that to me as well, is just sort of, really, it's not going to happen, as you said, it doesn't happen quickly. There's a lot of work and effort, and yes, okay, you can build up a following on social media, but if you want a long-term business, you've got to be prepared to do it over the long term. Talking about social media then, what's your thoughts as a trainer? How important is it to be on there now? It's very important, but at the same time, I have two different kind of thought processes on social media, because I've got the social media numbers versus the actual exchange and what you've got in people's relationships with you. Yeah. Like, you can have someone go like this, I've had people scroll and they just go like that, but they haven't actually engaged in your post. Right. What is your actual engagement? So you can have someone who's got 200,000 followers, someone who's got 1,000 followers, but the person who's got 1,000 followers, for some reason, that 1,000, they've got 150 comments, they've got people integrating with them, but that other one is just likes. Yeah. So it's kind of like, what do you want? Like, you've got to kind of get those numbers up, but then you want those numbers to be where you can engage with them, where those people you can do something for somebody. Because I've realized if you're doing something for somebody else, they'll give back to you. Yeah. If you've got a self-service, which is like, look at me, that's when it's kind of like you get the like and people scroll past. Yeah. Yeah. So I think social media is very important, and I've realized even more going into every meeting I go into, what are your numbers? That's the question, what are your numbers? I think for business, it's great, and I think in terms of your awareness, it's fantastic, but at the same time, there are still other ways in which you can promote yourself. Yeah. And I think that's an interesting comment. We were talking off camera, I was at Vidcon a little while ago, and they had their sort of heads of Facebook and Snapchat and Instagram talking about the platforms. And I think what you've said is very important. I think some people kind of can end up shooting at the wrong target because they're looking at numbers. But if you look at a lot of the new algorithms, it's not about likes, it's about people that have got a community and those communities are interacting with them. So whether they gave some examples of someone with 1,000, a network of 1,000 people, and they were actually generating more income than people with 10,000. And in terms of being visible on your feed, the people who have got communities and developing those communities are a lot more accessible. They're getting ranked a lot higher because of that. And I think that's probably a really important thing is, just really develop deep relationships with a few people than very shallow with thousands and thousands. Yeah, because I guess once you get past a certain number, you can't possibly communicate. No. You can't really say anything. Like sometimes I'll get a message, any message I get where someone mentions Fit in 5 or they've just finished a workout, I'll automatically reply to them, come back, I'll put it on my feed, great shout out to this person because they did this, because I think that being that personable, you can't lose. Yeah. Because I know how that would feel for me. Yeah. I know how if somebody said who I'd looked up to and somebody would helped me with something and then said, oh, great job, it would like blow my mind. So I think to myself, that's why working with kids is just as cool, because to kids it's the same feeling. They're like, I can't believe they're speaking to me right now. Yeah. And you take it for granted, those moments when you can just change someone's life and then change your own in the process. Yeah. And like I think every day I'm growing in the fitness industry, looking at different things, looking at new angles, but ultimately it's always come down to the same thing. It's helping people. Yeah. I think if I still keep the approach that I'm going to help someone, that one will turn into many. Yeah.
So you're an ambitious guy with goals. It sounds like you've always been that way. What's next on your list? Where do you want, what's the next big challenge you're going after?
I definitely want my own gym.
Yeah.
But like more a boutique style gym. Something that's like where it's not too many members, but enough to where, like we just spoke about, that engagement. It feels like people can come in and say, oh, hey Marvin, have a conversation, and you can kind of just do your workout, get beasted, leave, come back and make a community gym, something that people they're excited to go to. It's not a case of, oh, I've got to work out today. It's that can't wait to work out today, because it's that endorphin release of happiness. Yeah. Like we said, when the sun's out, everyone's actually in a better mood. I want my gym to feel like that. I don't want it to be someone walking in going, oh, I'm in the gym again. It's like, no, I'm in the gym again because I'm excited to be here. So I think that's definitely my next move, and more definitely shows on the YouTube. I'm going to do a few more YouTube shows. I've got some good shows that I'm shooting now. Yeah. I'm excited for those to come out later at Christmas. Right. Christmas is a good time because, people eat a lot more. I know I do. Yeah. So I'm definitely going to put those out, allow people to work out ways to balance their lifestyles and actually have fun at the same time, because it is all about a balance.
Yeah. So I've got one more question, but before that, what are where can people find you, and what are some of the different products and channels and things that you've got going on at the moment?
Yes, well, you can find me on Sky Television On Demand, Sky One, all series. You've got Series 1, Series 2, Series 3, and the Kids series. Okay. And as well as that as well, you can also find things that I've done for Game Changers, which is a kids show. Right. The Great Outdoor Gym Company, I'm doing a lot of openings for them, outdoor gyms. Okay. So if you go to the Great Outdoor Gym Company online, you'll see me on there. Fit Freaks TV is my app online. That's basically my company name that I started with Andre, who met me in the class. So we started Fit Freaks TV.
And what's that on YouTube? Is it?
That's on YouTube as well as Fit Freaks TV. Right. And you'll see lots of interviews with celebrities, as well as Fit in 5 workouts, and some things relaying back to the app as well. So on Android and iOS, you can get the app Fit Freaks as well, right. Which is basically the partner of Fit in 5. Okay. So that's how Fit in 5 started, was from the Fit Freaks. Right.
Okay. And it's ideally for someone if you're looking at sort of just getting yourself back in, getting into shape, almost starting off. It's a good place for you to kick off your workout routine. Yeah. Exactly.
And even like we said, if you're at the level where you're at, where you are regularly working out, if I say, all right, here's four workout routines from this app, you go and do those 4, I can guarantee you're going to come back completely dripping wet and thinking, I can't believe I've worked out for 20 minutes. I'm this exhausted and this tired. But it's just, you get out what you put in. And I think if you do follow something in a certain way and have a belief in it, then it's going to work better for you.
Yeah, and I was reading or listening to something somewhere, there's some research about this sort of 5-minute workout now as well. I don't know whether that's anything that you've seen or heard.
Yeah, no, and it's funny, that all started coming out after I'd done the show. Really? And it's so funny, I'd seen all these doctors talking about, I think it was on a bike actually, they were doing a test of 1-minute intervals on a bike versus a long interval of like a 5-minute interval. And they were like saying that, oh no, if you go flat out like 5-minute period, you're gonna burn more calories because your heart rate's gonna stay at higher BPM for a longer period of time. And I just figured, well, that's pretty much why my workouts work, because you're going up, down, up, down, up, down. And then at the end of the workout, when it's finished, I always end it on a peak. Right. So when it ends on a peak, your heart rate's at its highest that it would have been in the workout, but then it's going to take you longer to come down. And if you're fitter and you want to do another workout, you stay up there. Yeah. And then obviously then you're just going to continue to burn and obviously improve your heart.
Yeah, I guess it's a good one for business people as well. If you're in hotels or if you're traveling, there's another business idea. But most people, you travel, you come into a hotel, you go for dinner, and you haven't got much time. But having something you could just quickly watch and do, and in 5 minutes, it sounds quite appealing to people.
Yeah, exactly. You've got your iPad, you download it on your iPad, you put it there, and the great thing as well, you don't have to stream it. All the workouts you can download directly to your tablet. So wherever you are in the world, it doesn't matter. I've got people that have showed me on the beach. They're on the beach and they're doing it, and I'm like, there you go. That's the best way to do it, and that's what it's made for. It's made for your convenience, and to have that convenience as well. To go, we all make excuses. We had excuses. Even in my weight loss journey, technology wasn't where it was when I started my weight loss journey. Until the second weight loss journey, in fact, the technology started to get better, which then gave me my ideas of how I can improve for other people, for the things that weren't available for myself. Yeah. So, and I think just having the availability to go, Wow, I've only got 20 minutes right now. What do I? Oh, it's on my phone. I've got no excuse. I've got no excuses at all.
Idea. So there you go, Marriott Hotels. If you want a great idea.
There you go. Yeah, I'm available.
So final question then. Escape Your Limits is about escaping what you personally or people around you have said is impossible and then gone on to make it possible. What would be one of your most memorable examples of escaping your own limits?
Wow. I think my most memorable part would be the moment that I decided to change. I think definitely being in the thought process of trying to feel sorry for yourself to then turning that around into, do you know what? I'm going to embrace who I am right now, but I know if, as long as I'm doing something tomorrow to better myself, I'm going to be better the next day. And I think that definitely is the best part of escaping my limits.
Excellent. Well, and I like your t-shirt as well.
It kind of matches. It matches. Yes, the scope mode tee. So it definitely matches where we are with Escape Your Limits. So it's perfect.
All right, Marvin. Appreciate your time today. Thank you. Great story and best wishes for the future.
Thanks
Thank you.
A lot, man.
Cheers. Thanks.